All right, y'all. All right. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Doing our third live stream on the channel. Topic, as you can see, is going to be covering personal credit growth and business credit growth for 2025. What are the plans? How we plan to get there? What are we going to accomplish once we get there? And there's some misconceptions about credit, particularly business funding, business credit on this topic. We're going to also talk about different data points, to reach some of those goals, some of those accomplishments for 2025. We're starting these conversations early in these live streams because most of us know these months blow by. We'll be, in the fourth quarter in a matter of a few weeks, and that's gonna fly by with all of the holidays and everything else. We'll look up and it'll be January 2025. So we're not waiting until December to have these conversations. So again, this is gonna be centered around the growth, development and growth of personal credit and business credit. We're going to kind of dip into business funding, but we're going to be talking about strategies to accomplish growing our personal credit, business credit. We're going to also be talking about what we're going to do with it once we accomplish it. We're going to dispel some things around business credit and business funding in particular. We're also going to be covering data points and strategies, tactics to make sure that we're successful in accomplishing our goals when it comes to business credit and personal credit, so we can ultimately build wealth. We want to accumulate more assets. We want to stabilize ourselves financially and advance financially. We know in this financial system that we're in, personal credit, and now we've learned over the last decade or two that business credit is also playing a bit of a factor in expanding ourselves for those of us who are in entrepreneurship, gig work, small business owners, etc. So that's what we're going to be focused on in this particular video. I know it's going to take a few of you a minute to come in. That's fine. This is also going to get replayed. So I'm just going to get started. I need to do better with this on my live streams. I do great with this in the videos, but I do want to give a quick introduction for those of you who may be catching this new, who are not familiar with myself or the channel. The channel is dedicated around personal and business finances. It's going to be dedicated around relationship banking. It's banking, cash flow management, and lending. We dip into, investing. We dip into real estate, home ownership. We really are focused on relationship banking, cash flow management, and access to capital as an individual and as a business. So that's kind of the centerpiece of this channel, is being a financial resource and doing our best to make it connect all of the dots, not just getting focused on just credit cards, not getting focused just on business funding, et cetera. We want to connect the dots so we are in a position to actually accumulate wealth and not just increase our access to capital. Because if used inappropriately, access to capital can only lead to destruction if you're not careful. And so it's really a tool that can turn into a weapon. As far as myself, I've been in banking and financial services for over 13 years at the time of this recording. Active mortgage license and MLS number is 771386. Active life insurance license, active FINRA investments license, small business certified by the financial institution that I work for. So again, think banking, cash flow, and lending in small business. And just a broad range of skill sets and experiences, mortgage brokering, insurance brokering, etc. So you're talking to somebody who's not just covering this topic as a YouTuber that did a little bit of research, or somebody who just had a little bit of success with their own finances and wants to come on and lead the crowd on the topic. You're talking to somebody who has a real life experience, but also has professional experience on the topic. So again, just in case I see a couple of you are starting to come in, we're covering personal credit. We're covering business credit. My God, PNR Connected. I see you in the building. I appreciate you spending some time with us. So we're going to structure this out where we're going to cover the topic at hand as much as possible. I want y'all to let me know y'all in the building. My man PNR Connected LLC is in the building with me already. I appreciate you, sir. Anybody else, let us know you're in the building. Just a quick hello is sufficient. And then I want to kind of mitigate the questions, as we break out through topics. All right. So that way I can try to get through this and leave room for Q&A. So, again, we're going to cover this topic by topic. We'll dive in a little bit. And then if you have questions as we shift, just let me know in the comment section. So I made some notes, took some notes down. So if you see me glancing over, that's just me making sure that I cover this in an organized manner. So the first thing is going to be what are our targets for 2025 when it comes to our personal and business credit goals? So again, what are our targets when it comes to 2025 personal and business credit goals? Now, again, we want to be very clear about personal and business credit. These are going to be metrics that we're looking to enhance in our favor to get us access to capital, get us great rates and terms on capital. It is also designed to expand our financial reputation and give us access to more opportunities. We are not in the business of salivating over business funding and personal funding just out of the vanity of having access to 6 figures in capital or 7 figures in capital. We don't give a damn about that on this channel. That's not what we're about. That's not what I promote, and that's not what we're about. We're about taking care of business. Personal credit, business credit is a tool in order to give us access to more resources. It's a tool used to give us speed and efficiency at acquiring assets and advancing our personal finances in the economic system that we're in. Leverage is key. We know that you cannot do everything off of cash. If you've been that kind of person, then this is something that's important for you to tune into, because you cannot do everything off of cash. Not in this economic system. Leverage is important. Even if you have the money for it, oftentimes access to great capital is going to be a more efficient way, a tax efficient way, in a more productive way. It gives you more tentacles to reach out and get more accomplished quicker. So that's what our personal and business credit ambitions are centered around on this channel. Again, we are not salivating and, getting all aroused by the idea of X amount of dollars in business funding, X amount of dollars in credit card funding. Listen, we're acquiring these tools to get things done, to accomplish things. And on this channel, we're focused on acquisition of assets. Our goal is to put ourselves in a position where we're financially stable and grow into financial independence. That is what it's about, the increase in our quality of life. So I want to make that abundantly clear. Now, what are our targets? When I say targets, what type of metrics are we looking to hit? So when I think about personal credit, somebody may say, I'm looking to reach that 760 and above club where I know I'm going to get back access to the best rates and terms. And, I'm looking to get I may be looking to get so many trade lines on my credit report, primary trade lines, not authorized users trade lines. That's a whole nother conversation. We're focused on primary trade lines. So your actual trade lines that you are the one signing up for. You may be looking to get so many of those because we know a thicker credit profile gets us better results. It's not just about the score. We're looking to actually accomplish this on the profile itself. So the next thing we will focus on, again, what score goals are we looking to hit if necessary, if we're not already where we want to be? What trademark level or how many primary accounts we're looking to accomplish? And, from that point, we're looking to make sure, do we need to work on utilization in 2025? Is that high for us? Inquiries, is that bad for us right now? It needs to be improved upon. Are we, gardening in 2025 or a portion of 2025? And then are we graduating out? Are we taking action as soon as January 2025 hits? Are we on some kind of an app spree? This is what we're talking about when we talk about targets for our credit. Business funding, business credit in particular is the same. We're looking to develop personal business credit scores. Are we looking to get certain trade lines on? What are we looking to accomplish with the business credit? Where is it supposed to take us? So the first thing, we need to ask ourselves, what are the targets? We need to know what we're shooting for in 2025. By December 31st, 2025, I am looking to accomplish X, and having X credit profile, personal or business, is what's going to help get me there. That's the number one thing we need to focus on, is what are we looking to accomplish? Feel free to throw that in the chat down below. I know you guys are still coming in slowly but surely. Feel free to throw that in the chat down below. If you're catching the replay of this, put it in the comment section down below. It's okay. Let's keep that conversation going. So once we identify the targets for personal and business credit, the next thing we're going to be focused on is going to be, what are we going to accomplish when we reach those goals? Again, the target goals for personal and business credit, and then what are we going to accomplish? So I want you to think about, I've reached that perfect personal credit profile, or at least ideal within the window of time I have to work with. The same thing on the business profile, if necessary, if you're in business, which I want y'all to comment down below and let me know. Are you actively an entrepreneur, or have some kind of gig work, side hustle, or actual business that you're operating? Comment that down below. So what are we looking to accomplish? What are examples of when I ask this question? What are examples? Are you looking to get your first credit card for the year, and I don't mean first credit card on your credit profile, but I mean, like, are we looking to get a particular credit card? Are we in that arena? Are we stacking on credit cards for next year? I was talking about in a previous video, you know, the money that can be made from just welcome bonuses on credit cards. You could have a 2025 strategy of a part-time income on stacking credit cards. Is that part of the goal? Once we reach optimal personal and or business credit levels, are we looking to get credit cards next year, personal or business? If so, are we looking to get our primary residence next year? Are you looking to buy your first home or buy your next home next year? Are you looking to get an investment property next year, your first or next investment property next year? And your personal or business credit goals are going to contribute to that in one way or another. Are we looking to fund a business operation that we have? And if so, in what way are we going to use it? Buy equipment, marketing, etc. What are we looking to accomplish once we reach the personal or business goals? We are looking to actually accomplish something in that arena. So the next thing I want you to focus on is, once we figure out what the goals are, the targets are for our credit profiles, personal and business, we understand where we plan on deploying or exercising that credit once we accomplish it. The next thing we need to do is, how do we reach those goals for the personal credit and business credit? So if we know that we need to stack more trade lines up, our credit profiles are too thin, we have too many inquiries, our utilization is bad, we're looking to reach a certain score so we get better pricing on lending products, etc. And we then know, okay, I'm looking for credit limit increases next year. I'm looking to stack credit cards next year. There's a couple particular cards that I've been targeting I want to get into next year. I want to own my first piece of property, primary residence, rental property, short-term rental, fund my business operation. Once we figure that out, how do we go back and figure out how to get to those personal and or business credit goals? How do we get there? So if the goal is a certain score, if the goal is, getting, inquiries is the problem, how do we fix it? Utilization is the problem, how do we fix it? So that's the next thing we're focused on, is how do we get to those goals? From that point on, the first thing I'm going to recommend, now that we've figured that out, in order to help you reach those goals, I'm going to give you a couple things that you need to focus on going into 2025, and that means start right now. The first thing that doesn't get a lot of attention is going to be, you need to increase your income in 2025. You need to increase your income in 2025. Notice I did not focus on or start with, you need to cut your expenses. I just covered a video using Navy Federal credit limit increases, my experience with it as an example, talking about this topic, on a micro level. The people who are so focused on budgeting their way to zero or minimizing the way they budget. PNR, I see your comment. Give me 1 second. When it comes down to the success of advancing personal credit and business credit, when it comes down to success of advancing it and then making sure we qualify for funding, for lending tools, for credit cards, you have to complement your credit and advance and fuel your credit with good, solid income. So increase your income. I'm not telling you not to cut your expenses. If you know that you have excess expenses that you don't need to have, or that you are out of control on your budget, handle that. I am absolutely encouraging you to have a budget, cut expenses where necessary, but increase your income. I assure you, you increase your income, that will go a really long way for you. And when it comes to credit card applications, auto loans, mortgages, more income, the better. You just don't want your expenses to keep up with that income. So that's going to be another one that is important. Increase your income. The next one is going to tack onto that or bolt onto that is stabilize your income. Too many of us in today's era, and I see it firsthand because I'm a banker and I literally help clients with their finances and I help them take applications. People are job hopping too much. In the economic system we're in right now, the economy we're in right now, you're job hopping too much. If you have not been at your job or in your current career path for X amount of years, if you're looking to buy a home, if you're looking to, even when you look at various forms of funding for a business, You need to have a stable income. Ideally, 2 years is about a minimum. 2 years at what you've been doing at is about a minimum. If you're coming in new, please comment. Let me know you're in the building and like the video, like the live stream, support so we can get this out. So increase your income and stabilize your income. It's not enough just to have a high income. This is something that is slept on so much. People are budgeting to zero and then they want to job hop. They want to chase the new shiny object, new shiny opportunity. This job is paying more. I'm sick of this industry. I'm sick of these people at this job. You're getting distracted. You're getting distracted. The majority of the gripes that are leading people to jump ship on their careers, they're switching from all the way out of industries, switching from W-2 stable jobs to 1099, and completely destroying their ability to access capital and to build out their credit. Good increase in income, excess cash flow, and a stable income. These are essential for your development of your credit and the ability to exercise your credit. I just covered in the video with the Navy federal credit limit increases. It makes no sense for you to emphasize budgeting all the way to zero and even maybe have a solid credit score just to put on an application that you make no money or you don't make much money. You're going to do all of that to still get yourself denied or a baby limit if you get approved for whatever you're applying for. You need to focus on a stable, sizable income. Very important. Yes, control your spending. Yes, budget where effective, but don't put your emphasis on cutting expenses. Don't be so harped and focused on that. Increase your income, stabilize your income, and make sure you have excess cash flow. That is how you build up your personal credit, because you want to fund your accounts that are the trade lines that are going to build out your credit report. Especially on the business credit side, a lot of times you have to buy stuff from vendors in order to come back and get reporting from those companies to the bureaus. So again, you have to fuel that. You have to fund that. Very important. So increase your income, stabilize your income, and make sure you have excess cash flow. So that include cutting expenses, managing expenses. The next one we're going to focus on, I'm going to jump into my guy's comment, P&R Connected LLC. I do have a consultation business about a year and a half. So you've had one for about a year and a half. And what industry are you doing consulting, P&R, if you don't mind me asking, while I continue on this topic? Let me know what industry you're doing your consulting in. So increase income, stabilize income, and make sure you have excess cash flow. Next, relationship banking. We talk about this a lot. Guess what? We're going to continue to talk about it a lot. Why? Because it's effective. Relationship banking. You need to nurture the relationships with your financial institutions prior to asking for capital. I don't care how good your credit profile is, your credit score is. If you're looking to get credit cards, if you're looking to get auto loans, mortgages, whether that's primary resident or rental income, business funding, business credit card, business lines, business loans, you need to develop healthy relationships with banks if you want the best results and the least resistance. Relationship banking is a process of making yourself familiar to financial institutions through great financial habits and by putting money into their institution, participating with their products and services, doing that for a long enough period of time for them to feel comfortable that you're a legitimate individual, that you're not a fraudster, that you're authentic, that the money they see coming in is legitimate, that you have a good income source, that you have good financial habits, that you can manage your money, and then they will want to extend their money to you. That is basically relationship banking in an elevator pitch. You want to look familiar in a healthy way to these financial institutions. Yes, if you have great credit and you position your application right, you can go right in and get a credit card with them. You might be able to go right in and get a high-level credit card with them. That's great. But at the end of the day, you're going to run into a wall if you don't build out a healthy, robust relationship with that institution. I work for one. I am telling you for a fact, they care about relationship banking on the personal and the business side. If you are in banking, business, and you're doing your banking, my guy P&R is right now, he's saying personal and business consulting. So do you have an active banking relationship set up? And if so, with who? Comment that down below for me, P&R, for your business in particular. And so when I talk on this topic, when you look at funding option, banks are looking to try to get as much accomplished with underwriting in-house as technology advances and their understanding of the marketplace advances. Banks and their resources expand. Banks are looking to do more in-house. Relationship banking is literally the mechanism they're using to do that. So that basically means that the bank is looking to try to pull all the internal data they have in to make more of their lending decisions. If you stop and think about it, banks are one of the major furnishers, or the ones reporting data to credit bureaus in the first place. So in a sense, banks are thinking we're the ones providing a lot of the information on these credit reports. Now there's other entities that are reporting credit data, but at the end of the day, the banks are looking at it saying we really are the ones reporting this data that these FICO algorithms and these other credit related companies are pooling together and providing basically a profile for the clientele, the marketplace out there for us to lend off of. Why not take some of that data that we're gathering firsthand and use it to assess and underwrite for ourselves? It makes perfect sense if you're a financial institution and you have the tools now, the data, the infrastructure, the technological infrastructure to accomplish that. And they do now. A lot of them do. Financial institutions are looking at personal and business banking relationships heavily to help evaluate you as a borrower. They're looking beyond just the credit reporting, because you have to remember that is a lagging indicator, meaning that that's previous data. The most recent that data is the last 30 days. So banks are looking at other metrics like your banking habits, which is why relationship banking can be so effective at advancing your access to capital. They're looking at your banking relationship, the various tools that you're using, the credit monitoring tools they provide you that so many people neglect, the wealth management tools they're providing that so many people neglect. Yes, it's convenient to make your life easier and help you manage your money and your credit, but for the bank, it's pooling and pulling in more data. When you hook up all these external bank accounts and they try to get you to pool all your stuff together to see all of your assets and bank balances together, that's an evaluation of data for them. That's a pool of data that they get to evaluate. When you use their credit monitoring apps, you're likely consenting for them to pay attention to that credit monitoring as well, to gauge you as a client, as a client, as a borrower. So relationship banking is literally becoming more prevalent in the financial system. And banks are looking for more ways to pull in more people who are underbanked, who don't have credit profiles at all, and new immigrants, legal or illegal, coming to this country that they want to get their hands on and grow their business off of. Relationship banking is paramount. And I'm going to continue to harp on it because I see it work every day. I've used countless examples. Chase Bank has a credit card out on the personal side. The Freedom Rise, relationship banking based credit card for underwriting. You don't have to have any credit. If you have $250 in your deposit accounts at the time of the application, you've increased your chances of approval. The same thing for their business funding. Chase has been adamantly, pushing out relationship banking as a catalyst to their business funding, meaning that they're trying to limit the documentation that they require or request from you and going up your business banking relationship, if you have one with them, to help underwrite you, to make it more convenient and to compete with more of these alternative lenders. They have a business credit card, the Business Ain't Cash. If you haven't caught on to this, I believe in this third quarter, sometime in this third quarter, I just checked it out. The Business Cash has a 10% relationship banking bonus. Business banking relationship. On the anniversary of that credit card, they're giving you 10% of all the points you accumulated on your Ain't Business Cash. They're giving you 10% of that as a bonus just for having an active business checking account with them. Relationship banking is alive and thriving in the financial world, in the banking system, in the credit space. Banks are leaning on this to underwrite you. So don't take it for granted on the personal side and or the business side. Establish healthy banking relationships by establishing deposit accounts. I already covered videos on this as well. The checking account is the creme de la creme center hub of the ecosystem in the banking system. It's where your money's going in typically, where your expenses are going out typically. Banks can gauge so much data and financial habits and behaviors from your checking account. If you're coming in new, like and subscribe. If you're coming in new, like the video and get down in the chat. Let me know you're in and who you are, please. And if you're catching the replay, comment down on that. Relationship banking is becoming a major factor. I just covered a video not long ago as well, talking about how relationship banking or banking data is about to be better incorporated into credit scores. Vantage is pulling this off. FICO is getting their hands into this. They're looking to merge banking data into credit scores. I've actually talked about this on a couple videos over the course of the last year and a half. They are looking to incorporate banking data into your credit score. So you can't hide with credit tactics anymore by itself. Now you have live banking data being plugged in. Do you have excess cash flow? Are you overdrawing your account? Do you have cash reserves? All of that's about to either work for you or against you in the near future. That's right. Banking, relationship banking, and banking data is becoming more prevalent and more important than ever because it is a rich pool of data to gauge you as a client, your financial behavior live, not lagging like credit is. It is live. So, beyond relationship banking, increasing, stabilizing income, and making sure you have excess cash flow when it comes to your income. The next thing we need to discuss that is a huge misnomer. But before we get into that, I want to cover something. So, my man PNR, let me answer this. I'm with Navy Federal, MNC, and Chase. Definitely can relate on Navy Federal and Chase for sure. Not familiar with MNC as much. Which of those three are your best relationships, PNR? Which one of the three are your best? And if you don't mind telling a little bit about why. What aspect of those, which one of those banking relationships is serving you the most and why? All right. So the next thing I want to cover is a little bit of a misnomer and a clarification when it comes to the credit space. Business and personal credit merged together. And hopefully many of you are stuck around and catching this live and on the replay. There's a lot of confusion around the ability to build business credit and the relevance of business credit when it comes to alleviating or maneuvering around personal credit. There's this huge misnomer due to a lot of marketing, play on words that has went down in the credit space, in the personal finance space for years now, that has painted this image that you can get around bad personal credit by building business credit and just moving on, selling off into the sunset, getting access to all this capital and growing your business or getting your hands on assets. Let me tell you, as somebody who's not only built out great personal credit, built out business credit, but works in the banking space and literally works not only on the consumer side, but on the small business side and takes applications for a relatively large financial institution. Personal credit is the catalyst to business credit and funding. You will not get around that by building so many trade lines on your business credit report. It's not a thing. Now, it can help a lot. It can supplement the hell out of your personal credit. But your personal credit will absolutely always be on the table at the time of this recording for business funding, unless you are a multi-million dollar enterprise with years of history. Then you can get into corporate credit and alleviate PGs and personal guarantees and personal liability in that particular capacity. And even in those arrangements, there's still terms and conditions that will tie the owners to these businesses and the funding in that scenario. So don't think you're going to be able to dodge that. But even in that case, we're talking 5, 10, 15, 20, $25 million in revenue on a business for years before some financial institutions will offer real corporate credit separate from your personal liability. That is a huge misnomer out there. While we're on the topic, business credit is a complement. It is a complement to personal credit when it comes to business funding. If for those of us that are in business and business funding is relevant for, I want to just dispel it. I want to clarify that. I'm telling you that as somebody who does this live. I am not a YouTuber who only YouTubes and runs my business on the side or whatever. I work in the business. I work in the space. So I am speaking from a position of authority. I'm telling you on applications, when I take them for business credit cards, business lines of credit, etc., they are not looking at running your business credit separately and completely skipping over your personal credit. And if you got 15 trade lines on there from your business with a couple, different vendors, you just completely alleviated from personal credit and personal liability. Bullshit. Complete bullshit. It's not a thing. So I want to clarify that because that has unfortunately been pushed out. And it's been pushed out by some prominent content creators that are actually normally pretty good. But for whatever reasons, there are many people out there painting the picture that you could just develop personal credit on a basic scale with a small enterprise. And when I say small, I'm talking even all up to early 7 figures in revenue. You're still a small business, and you can alleviate personal liability and personal guarantees. Certain number of employees, a business operation large enough that it can sustain without the owner is when corporate credit will kick in. Look at it from that perspective. My guy, Credit Cousin, I see you in the building, baby. What's going on, my guy? Business credit, corporate credit kicks in when the business is large enough and had enough historical data and high enough revenues and processes and systems in place to run efficiently, even if the owner gets hit by a bus tomorrow. If your business doesn't meet that requirement or that, that metric, which the vast majority of our small businesses in this country do not, get that out of your head. In case you were confused or that's been a question, get that one out of your head. Now, personal credit being a catalyst to business funding, business credit. Personal credit your personal guarantee is going to weigh very heavy on funding for your business. It is going to weigh heavier than business funding on a lot of the ground level products. You look at business credit cards, personal guarantees and personal credit will take massive precedence, whether you have business funding or not. And I know firsthand because I help clients get approved for business credit cards that have brand new businesses. So business credit is not a catalyst for business credit cards. Can it help? Absolutely. Maybe lead to higher limits, more frequent approvals, possibly. But that is not going to be the case for the overall approval and underwriting basis. What I also mean is when you look at lines of credit and loans, when you start looking at it from, we'll say 100,000 or lower, maybe even 150,000 or lower, maybe even up to 250, depending on the institution. Personal guarantees are not only going to be necessary, but they're also going to take precedence over business credit. Now, there is a layer where you graduate up and business credit needs to be a thing. It does need to be a thing. SBA is a good example. A lot of SBA funding, they're looking for established business credit. There's literally scores, like FICO SBS and SBSS, etc. There's other scores out there that are literally going to account for business credit. But that is, again, SBA is like the creme de la creme in most cases when it comes to business funding. There's a lot of funding products before SBA. Business credit cards, business lines of credit, business loans, equipment financing, etc. In each one of these cases, if you're coming in brand new, like, comment, jump in the chat, please. Yes, sir, Credit Cousin. PG is definitely the way to go. And that's why we're about to hammer away at this right now on this topic. There are a lot of products before you get to SBA. So that means that your personal guarantee is going to carry a lot of weight. And that's why personal credit is essential, even if business funding or business credit is your focus point. There's a lot for us to cover when it comes to personal credit alone. So I will be getting back on that topic. For any of you who are watching this live or watching this on the replay and curious if we're drifting all the way off into the business world, and that's not where your focus is, we will be covering what you can accomplish and what to focus on from a personal credit perspective and what can be accomplished without a business. But we do want to just dispel a few misnomers while we're on the topic of a merger of personal business credit and a relationship between them. Personal guaranteeing is going to be a must, and it's actually a gift, because personal credit is something that is much more manageable and a much more manageable picture for you to paint when it comes to underwriters, when it comes to personal or business lending products. When it comes to business lending, you can lay out your personal finances and structure it nice, neat, and pretty in a way where they will give you significant levels of business funding. And your business does not have to have business credit to accomplish it. Now, what your business does need to have that will help you once you get over a certain threshold, think business credit cards and really early levels of loans and lines of credit. So 50,000 or less, you might be able to get away with without having this particular metric at around 50,000 or less, depending on the institution, but you need business revenue. You don't always need business credit, but you need business revenue. I see a few more people are popping into the live stream. Jump in the chat, let me know who you are, where you're coming from. Just in case you knew, the topic is going to be centered around personal and business credit growth for 2025, what the target is for you, what you're looking to accomplish, meaning are you looking to get into real estate, auto loans, more credit cards stacking, business funding, and then how do we get there? Just in case you're coming in new, that is what we're talking about. That's what we're focused on. At this particular juncture, we're covering the relationship and the combination of personal and business credit in their correlation to each other and advancing really the business funding side for a few minutes. So business revenue is essential when it comes to accessing business capital, and that's actually more important than business credit for a long time, really deep into the game. You don't need business credit nearly as soon or as much as you need business revenue. So if you need a place to focus, then I am telling you that yes, if you have the capital and the circumstances to develop your business credit, then go for it. But a full out plan of leveraging business credit to circumvent personal credit and circumvent business revenue is completely unrealistic. It is not going to get you where you think it's going to get you. And I know there's a lot of YouTube media and TikTok media, Instagram media promoting this out there. I'm telling you, as somebody who's in a banking space that works for a really large financial institution and also has colleagues throughout the space. I have colleagues throughout the space, CDFIs, other banks, brokers, various lenders. I have other colleagues. We all know this. Business revenue will get you a lot further on the business side in conjunction with personal guarantees and great personal credit and personal financials. Business revenue will get you a long way. The next thing is going to be personal credit and personal financials will fuel your business funding wise way out while you're developing your business revenue and getting your business off the ground. Many of us should know it is not easy to generate revenue in a lot of our businesses. It is not easy to get consistent revenue going. It's not easy to get just a full-scale business operation in flow, especially when we're solopreneurs, especially if you're a solopreneur and don't have a small team around you. It is not easy to accomplish. So you need to have a good, stable income, a long-standing income, and great credit to fuel your business when your business cannot fuel itself. This could be months or years. It is very common to go without making any kind of profit. In some cases, even any revenue for many months, sometimes a couple to a few years. You have to stick it out. If you have a real plan, you have a real skill or a real service to provide, you have to stick it out. And you stick it out by having a good, stable income, a good job, if that's where that source is coming from, and great personal credit. Personal guaranteeing allows you leverage to use your individual to propel your business until your business can take off by itself. So let me clear that up for anybody that has any confusion. Business credit, business funding is heavily dependent on personal guarantees. The exceptions are going to be vendor business credit, Uline, Quills, Granger, Crown, Office Supply, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Revenue-based funding on the business side. You can circumvent PGs on that arena. You can circumvent PGs to some extent with vendor credit. You get over a certain threshold where you buy an office supply or equipment from one of these prominent reporting vendors, and they, you net 30 with them, net 60 with them, whatever, and you do that for months, and they will report that data if you do it at a decent dollar amount, and it builds up on your DNB, your Dun and Bradstreet, it builds up at your Equifax, your Experian business, etc. That is when you can build business credit. Depending on your business and what you're accomplishing with your business, you can build business credit if you got the kind of business that needs office supplies regularly, marketing materials regularly, and it might be a vendor that offers clothing. You have a merchandise type of thing going on. That's business credit that you don't need personal credit for. That is a real thing. You can graduate yourself up like that in that arena. We're talking about bank level, cash level funding. I need to clarify that as well. Bank level, cash level funding. You can build out vendor credit all day and tomorrow and graduate all the way up to fleet, cards and stuff like that for vehicles with gas cards and, access to vendor credit and trade credit. When we're talking about cash, credit cards, lines of credit, loans to be able to go out and actually buy property, buy commercial spaces, buy other physical equipment that requires you to buy it by cash, that is a different beast. Vehicle funding, business credit is only complementary when it comes to personal guarantees. Now, you can get all the way up to auto lending on business credit, but you got to be pretty deep in on the game on that one, like pretty deep in, like probably 8-10 trade lines on your business account for months, maybe even longer. But you can accomplish an auto loan without a PG if you got enough business credit. But that threshold starts to stop there for the most part. Credit cards, loans, and lines on the business side, personal guarantees are a thing. And honestly speaking, auto loans, you'll probably get even more favorable terms if you have a PG behind it. My guy Credit Cousin and I on the same page. I believe in PG. I think it's fine. I don't have a problem with PG because I don't plan on defaulting or running off on anybody. And my personal credit and my personal income is good. It's really good. I worked hard for it, so I actually want to exercise it. So Credit Cousin is if you guys don't know that in the stream, my guy Credit Cousin, if you see him in here, he is an actual finance YouTuber himself. He covers very similar topics. Check out his channel. But he is also somebody that he and I complement each other well on this topic, and we haven't even merged yet on a video. We agree PG is actually a great way to go. It gives you more leverage. It gives you higher limits. It gives you higher borrowing capacity. It still complements business credit, and it makes banks feel a lot more comfortable in a lot of cases. And it's smoother. Many of us have already been working our ass off on our personal credit, so why not exercise it anyway? This whole hype around business credit, circumventing personal credit is really mostly for people who have completely neglected or damaged the hell out of their personal credit and looking for a way out without actually just fixing the problem head on. That is the majority of the time what I see. I don't see people with great personal credit who've worked their ass off for it run from personal guarantees. That's just my experience. Let me jump into a couple of these comments, y'all, before we dive back into personal credit, what we're looking to accomplish with personal credit, and the different ways we need to get there. So the first one I see, let me see. My guy PNR responded to me. I would say that M&T helped me get into Navy Federal, and so far Navy Federal is my best because my higher limits are with them at $24K on the personal side, $7K on the business side. Chase is at $8K on the business side. That's my guy PNR Connected. I'm gonna assume that is Ricardo. What's up, my man? I see you. Yes, sir. I see you. I'm gonna assume that's credit cards you are referring to on the business side, PNR. No Chase personal credit cards yet. Me either, PNR. And I think I'm gonna change that in the fourth quarter this year. I got 3 business credit cards with Chase, and I have no personal credit cards with them. So me either, my guy. M&T, I have $6,500 on the personal side, no business credit cards with them yet. Also $1,100 on Capital One personal. That sounds good, my guy. And Navy Federal has got you handsome with the $24K on that one. So that sounds good. Comment down below and let me know, are you still looking to grow those relationships with really with all of them, but with M&T and with Chase, and how you plan on going about that, PNR. My guy Ricardo Torres in the building. Good to see you, my guy. Appreciate you joining in. Everybody coming in, like, comment, get in the chat. Let me know you're in the building. If you're catching the replay of this, you stuck this out so far, comment down below on the video. Everybody that watches my channel know I'm very responsive in the comment section. As busy as my day gets, I don't let too many comments get by me, if any at all. I jump in, I do answer questions, and I chime in with my audience because I'm actually here to support y'all. It's not just about being cute on YouTube. I want to actually see y'all grow y'all wealth. So definitely comment down below. So let's jump into personal credit and what we can accomplish in 2025 with personal credit. And let's give some attention to that because there's a lot that can be accomplished on personal credit. So let's think credit cards, credit card strategies, auto loans, mortgages for primary residence, secondary properties, investment properties. Let's just stick with those for now. We're going to leave business funding to the side for a second since we already gave that some attention. Let's just talk personal credit for a minute, and we'll start with personal credit cards. This is one of those segments that I've given attention to for a long time on this channel as far as the life of the channel is concerned. My guy Credit Cousin is still in, but I believe here on the channel. He's covered this a lot. You can make a whole income off stacking personal credit cards alone. Welcome bonuses when strategic on that. And I've been putting out videos on, and we'll be releasing more videos, and I already put out videos on cashback credit cards. There's a lot to be accomplished in that arena alone. I have personal ambitions, and part of my target goal for next year with my personal credit, bridging off into business credit cards as well, is going to be centered around quarterly financial account, quarterly income from personal and business credit card stacking. Strategically, of course. It's not just getting credit cards for the sake of getting credit cards, but I'm definitely looking to hit certain marks on a quarterly basis on that because it's just access at the time of this recording, tax-free money to supplement your lifestyle, supplement your business, and help you manage your expenses, whatever you decide to use it for. There's a whole world for that. Personal credit is going to get you there. Having a strong personal credit profile, strong personal credit score will get you access to a ton of credit cards, especially if you're smart enough to branch out where you try to get them from. If you can get outside of the major banks that everybody talks about and get out into your local community and find some of these regional and community banks and credit unions, there's a ton to be accomplished when it comes to credit cards alone. I've already made it clear you can accomplish upper 3, 4, and if you're really aggressive, potentially 5 figures in excess capital from just credit card stacking. Personal credit is going to get you there. A thick credit profile is 21 or more accounts on your credit report. A great credit score like prime creme de la creme is 760 and above. You get to those 2 metrics alone and everything on there is positive, you don't have negative items, you can accomplish the world in just credit cards alone. And again, it is very realistic to accomplish 2 to 3 credit cards a quarter. It's kind of conservative depending on how the strategy you lay out. If you do that and you're averaging $200-$300 a bonus or more, if you throw a business credit card in there every now and then, and maybe you're getting $200 and a $500 or $200 and a $750, you're talking about 4 figures a quarter in just credit card stacking. Personal credit is going to get you there. 760 and above needs to be the goal. Utilization under 10%. And 21 or more trade lines is ideal for prime, thickness on your credit report, depth on your credit report. There's other metrics. Average age, of course, helps a lot, but it is not necessarily a deal breaker all the time. You definitely want to have a decent average age, which starts at around 5 years, was considered around average in that particular metric. So that's just credit cards. Do you need to start gardening now to accomplish your credit card goals in 2025 is something you need to be asking yourself. What laying out the banks you're going to target now in the end of the third and early fourth quarter of 2024, which is what I plan to do before 2025 gets here. You need to know what banks are on your radar. There's hundreds of them. Hundreds, really thousands, but I'm just sticking to the hundreds because we want to stick to quality institutions. Not everybody's worth banking with. There's hundreds of options between online and in person. And that means that there's hundreds and hundreds of credit cards, possibly thousands, in that pool. You can't tell me you can't pull off 8 to 10 of those a year and bring in another $2, $3, $4, $5,000 a year, on top of expanding your access to capital and growing your personal credit. So personal credit card strategies, when it comes to personal credit goals next year, you need a healthy credit profile that is not overexhausted, meaning that you've shotgun applications all over the place and got a bunch of inquiries and a bunch of new accounts. Do you need to garden? Do you need to work on your utilization? Do you need to get your actual score over that 760 hump? Do you need to, thicken up your credit profile? That's a real sleeper. Where are you struggling? If you're not prestigious across all of these areas, where are you struggling? How do you fix it? So let me jump in a couple more comments. My guy Ricardo was planning on hitting up Chase in March, but got that itch and applied for US Bank Altitude Go, approved for 9,000. Now gotta wait until July next summer to hit Chase up. I'm gonna guess you're talking 524 on that one, Ricardo. You must be talking 524. The credit game is definitely addictive, my guy. I see your comment down below. It is exceptionally addictive. And I said that before a couple of you came in. We are not about vanity metrics when it comes to personal and business credit and business funding. We are not about vanity metrics. What does that mean? I am not doing this just to be cute to say that I have 6 figures in business or personal credit card. It has to serve a purpose. We are all grown men, and there's some women that catch this channel, that might catch this live stream. We're grown. It's not just about having cute limits. What can it do for me? Real estate, welcome bonuses, cash back, free travel, monetary value. What can it do for me? It is addictive, Ricardo, and it needs to be addictive for us to be productive. Once you learn how to play this game, it gets exciting because you now have learned how to leverage the financial system in your advantage to pull in income, grasp assets. That you may not have normally been able to reach with just cash. That is why it's addictive. Not just for the vanity metric of, oh, I got high limits. Oh, I have 10 banking relationships. That's cute. That's cool. What are you doing with it? Because if you got all of that going on and you still don't own any property, you have all of that going on and you don't have a pool of assets, when it comes to like excess cash flow from your credit card rewards, bonuses, and points, if your travel isn't getting partially or completely paid for, then what does that mean? What does it mean to have those relationships? So it's not a vanity metric. Credit cousin, from the East Coast to the West Coast, get all the relationships. Absolutely. Do not limit yourself on how far your banking relationships can go in depth with each institution and by variety in the span of institution. That's completely correct, credit cousin. East to West Coast. Honestly speaking, for emergency purposes and for profit purposes, for financial gain purposes, you should have a financial institution in every corner of the country. You should have a financial institution that has a heavy footprint on the East Coast, the Northeast, the Southeast, the South, Midwest, Northwest, West Coast. It doesn't matter. You should have financial relationships that expand across the United States. If you have to evacuate, I talk about this all the time because I live from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I live on the outskirts of New Orleans, Louisiana. Every single year, we have to hold our breath. Right now, we're in the depth of hurricane season. You never know when you got to pack up and go. Some of you live in places with torrential downpours, tornadoes, fires, flash floods, brutal winters, whatever the case may be. We all know what it's like to potentially have to evacuate, civil unrest at this point in time. It seems like that's becoming more common. Emergency purposes, the ability to know that I can jump and have an interconnected web of quality financial institutions. I always have access to capital, always have access to my money, and have access to additional resources no matter where I am in the country. There's too many people I've met that only bank local around the corner, what's close to them. They evacuate and they have no way to access their money without paying a bunch of fees. No access capital that they can use effectively. And when it comes to financial gain, every single financial institution is niche in where they specialize. Some are going to give you access to great personal credit cards, travel credit cards, better at cashback credit cards. Lines of credit are easier to get. Auto loans are better with this institutions. Lines of personal and business lines of credit. business funding, business credit cards, home mortgages, real estate, investment mortgages. This bank doesn't offer it. This bank does. Every single financial institution has a niche if you dig deep enough into the fabric. Every single financial institution has a niche if you dig deep enough into the fabric. It is very important for you to understand that and process that when you're building out your financial relationships. Credit Cousin is nailing it on the head. You should have a financial institution from the east to the west coast, from Wisconsin to the tip of Texas. You should have a financial institution you can walk into and have an active relationship with, period. So the next thing we're focusing on after the credit card side, personal and business, that's stacking, and that's stacking for capital, for excess reserve, access to capital, but also for welcome bonuses, cashback, and travel hacking. This is in itself a financial strategy. If you travel regularly through leisure or you travel regularly for business, this is an opportunity for you to build up the ability to partially or fully pay for your travel. That in itself is budgeting. That in itself is budgeting. So that's one component. Number two, when you look at credit cards and the way they can build out your credit profile, I have not seen where you can have too thick of a credit profile. You can have excessive exposure, meaning that you got 150, 180, $200,000 in credit limits, and some banks will look at you and say, what the hell you need my credit limits for? But at the end of the day, as far as the quality of your credit report, when it gets out to like mortgages, auto loans, business funding, you're not going to run into a decline that says you have too much credit. Not available credit. Now you can overextend yourself, but you're not going to run into too much credit. Ricardo, do you know any banks that only pull Equifax? That's the only bureau I have had zero inquiries. I would have to dig into that and come back to you on that one, Ricardo. I do, but I can't think off the top of my head to answer that question fairly and truthfully. I might have to dig into that one, and I might try to comment back at you on that one when I do some research. I have to think about that one. There are for sure. Honestly, Equifax is a credit union heavy bureau, to be honest. If you're looking to kind of like dig, and I guess you have to let me know if you're thinking about personal and business credit cards or what type of funding you're looking for. But if it's credit cards, Credit Cousin says Truist is a good example. So there's one right there. But credit unions are very heavy on Equifax. I can tell you that. That's kind of surface level, but that's not as specific. But credit unions are very Equifax focused. You normally see Experian for your larger and super regional banks and stuff like that. TransUnion is somewhere in the middle. Equifax is very credit union heavy. If you're looking at credit cards especially. Credit Cousin says Truist is a good one. So that's one you can put on a radar right there, Ricardo. PNR, I started about 2 years ago with an average of 540 across the board. Now I'm at 753, 745, and 762. Oh, man, bro. That's what I'm talking about, PNR. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's my story was very similar. It's been longer than 2 years for sure. But at one point in time, I was at a 515 FICO score, y'all. Literally, 515. And that was like one of the highest at that time. So trust me, coming out of the mud with that credit, that's my argument around PGs and personal credit. I worked my ass off to come from a 515 FICO score to average of a 780 to 800 on my FICOs across the board. Why would I not want to apply for everything that I can get my hands on? Strategically, of course. Why would I not do that? Ricardo says, Truist won't work for me. I'm in Colorado. We'll see if we can. First Tech Federal Credit Union pulls Equifax. That's another one I have too, Credit Cousin. I have First Tech as well. I don't have credit cards with them, but I have a banking relationship with them. So that's another one, Ricardo, you can check out. They're pretty reasonable to get into, Ricardo, if you're not familiar with First Tech. They are pretty reasonable to get into. Let me see. So now that we've looked at that, the next one we want to focus on is going to be auto loans. If that's on the radar for y'all, comment down below. Any of my guys actively on the live stream. Does anybody have any plans for auto loans going into next year? That can be personal or business. Personal or business auto loans going into 2025. That is our next conversation on personal credit growth, and positioning ourselves. Why? Because what it looks like to exercise healthy personal credit for credit cards is a little unique for auto loans. You need good installment history to have a best response on auto loans. Yes, credit cards are helpful. They will go a long way, but they're going, especially when you get to higher end 50,000 plus on auto loans, they're going to be looking to see what your installment credit history looks like. Very important. So if we're looking for personal or business vehicles, I am looking into that for 2025. I'll keep y'all posted as I dive into that for 2025. I am looking to get into a business vehicle before the end of the year of 2025, and probably a pretty nice one. So I have objectives on continuing to build out my profiles on a personal business side to make sure I'm primed for that. My bank of choice at the moment is going to be between Bank of America and their auto loan program for business and Ally. Those are my two targets for my business auto loan focus point for 2025. Doing my research on those look like two very attractive options. And I'm building relationships with Bank of America as we speak. And Ally is one that I'm, pretty sure from what I've read, you can pretty much just jump into with the auto loan side without having to do a banking relationship with them. But I'm considering it. So I'm looking at auto financing and possibly personal as well. Those of you who don't know, I do ride a sports motorcycle. So I'll be probably looking to get a upgrade on the one that I have now, and I might do financing for that. I may not be, putting out the cash for that. So that's a possibility that I'm gonna be getting a personal loan on that one. Auto loan in a sense. It's more of a recreational-ish kind of loan, but I'm gonna just throw it in the auto loan bucket. So that'll be kind of my example. And I know that I need to make sure that my credit profile on the personal and business side are stacked out if I'm going to be doing the business vehicle side in particular. So I'm looking to trigger that, and I'm going to be using my business vehicle obviously for my day-to-day to some degree, but also to record my content and also to do my advertising locally on. So that is my big focus when it comes to auto loans. I am working on a business auto loan. My guy, PNR, he says now working on a line of credit across the board and a few more business credit cards and personal credit cards. So let's talk about that. Like, how specific are we trying to get? Do you know the institutions you have in mind that you're targeting for those business or personal credit cards and your line of credit? Let me know what you're thinking on that, PNR. PNR said, I'm also working on a business auto loan. So there you go. We got some common ground on that. That's where we can start putting our minds together, gentlemen. Let's talk about what it's going to take to get our hands on a business auto loan completely in our business name. I'm even thinking about putting my motorcycle in the business name, to be honest, because I will be definitely filming more content from that angle. So, that's something I'm considering completely. And that also builds up assets or at least equipment that is valuable in your business's name. That's collateral, something that is assets that can be collateralized or equipment that can be collateralized for your business. So that's another reason why I'm looking to put more and more in my business's name. I want to keep my personal credit free and clear of as much debt as possible other than mortgages. Just to put that strategy out there for y'all. And we're about to talk about real estate in a minute. So I want y'all to stay focused. I know we already are an hour in, which is crazy. I feel like these live streams go by so fast. But we about to dive into primary residences and investment properties and second properties when it comes to personal credit. So let's stay tuned on that. But I'm looking to completely eliminate the vast majority of personal debt that is not mortgages on my personal credit report, which I'm already at. I have less than $10,000 or $15,000 in debt across the little bit of student loans I'm hanging on to just for the age. Honestly, it's literally nothing, less than $2,000. And I put Navy Federal. I did my loan on my motorcycle just to finance it, just for another data point, installment history, paid that down significantly, and have a couple grand on that left. I have next to nothing going on that but mortgages. That's where my personal credit has been. I built up the data points. Other than Equifax, where there was a hiccup on some reporting, My TransUnion and Experian have over 30 trade lines apiece on them, between mostly active and some closed, good standing personal credit trade lines. And Equifax has more than 15 or 20. And I'm building up on there. And I'm planning on doing a whole nother spree on the topic of pledge loans. Even though my FICO scores are as good as they are, my credit profile as thick as it is, I want a thick credit profile. I literally want a 30, 40 plus primary trade line credit profile in the next couple years, strategically, of course, but I want a thick enough credit profile. And to accomplish that, the goal is to keep bulking up on really easy trade lines, like pledge loans. So I plan on taking cash, doing a handful of trade lines on a personal credit side, just to build those data points out even further. But I'm looking to put my motorcycles potentially in my business name as well. Ricardo asked, do I have a Ducati? Actually, I have a CF Moto. Then I plan on going. I'm kind of stuck, Ricardo, on my next upgrade. I'm kind of stuck. I've been looking at Kawasaki's, and I've been looking at, man, I'm drawing a blank right now. I think Honda had a nice one I liked. They got a few options on that one I'm looking for, but I have my CF Moto for my bike right now, my sport bike, and I'm enjoying it, Ricardo. It's been a good ride. It's been a good ride. I'm enjoying it. But I'm looking to put all that in my business's name. Auto loans, especially. Auto loans, I'm especially trying to keep out of my personal name. I'm working very hard to do that. My vehicle right now is a paid-off hoopty. If y'all are not familiar, my vehicle right now is a paid-off hoopty, because I was determined to keep my personal credit profile clean as possible going into my mortgages, because I purchased a primary residence in the last couple of years. Other property I've been working on, I don't want anything to do with my DTI being affected, or my affordability on mortgages being affected with stuff like auto loans. I'm not interested. So I literally have not a hoopty. It's a moderately newer car, last 7 years, 6-7 years, but it's a very simple car that I pay cash for, because I'd rather at that time give up the cash than the affordability factor by having a $300, $400, $500 a month, $600 a month car note on my credit report. Those of you who don't know, I do mortgage lending. I am telling you, just $300 to $400 a month on your credit report can be tens of thousands of dollars in real estate. Tens of thousands in real estate. Look on an affordability calculator. Don't just take my word for it. Plug in $400 or $500 and keep all the other metrics the same, and watch how you go from affording a $400,000 property to a $340,000, $350,000, $360,000 property. That's a significant difference on a car note. A $15,000, $20,000 car can cost you tens of thousands of dollars in affordability on real estate. When I learned that metric, I was like, no way. I'm already not a fan of car notes anyway. Definitely not about to let it sacrifice the quality of home I can get on the primary residence side, or the amount of home I can qualify for in secondary properties or investment properties. No, sir. So I'm looking to put my auto loans in my business's name. And as long as my vehicle holds up until I feel like I'm ready and have hit other metrics and goals and ready to go jump into that auto loan process for the business side, that's when I'm going to ride in my car. And I'm going to work on making sure that I'm in position to get a really quality vehicle that I'm going to put in my business's name and personally guarantee it with a smile on my face. I don't mind that, because it still doesn't report on my personal credit. So me just getting a hard inquiry to get access to a higher quality vehicle, expand my borrowing capacity, and it's still in my business's name, giving my business equipment that's collateral, that can be collateralized, giving me an additional marketing tool, etc. Can't beat it with a stick. That's my personal opinion when it comes to the auto loan segment. But if you are looking to get an auto loan and you're doing it in the personal name, personal credit is still great. You just want to make sure your personal credit has good installment history, and you want to, again, be 760 plus, so you get the best rates and terms, and you pay the least note that you have to. My guy PNR, yep, you hit it on the head with getting business assets to leverage and help build my business. Absolutely. I don't have an equipment intensive business, because most of mine is around media and consulting. But that means that I am traveling a lot. That means that my vehicle and some of these more, even my cell phone devices, it's in my business name. I at least have one a couple of my business name. I have a personal device. But again, all of that's under the business, building data points and giving me something that if push comes to shove, I could potentially collateralize in the future as I look for broader, deeper levels of funding. So absolutely, PNR, that's where my mindset is. As I've learned that game, doing it for a living and studying, I'm like, this is the value of putting this, building out your business credit, personal credit, the gift of being able to put this all in the business's name, develop and expand the business, and then free up your personal credit to accomplish other things. Which, speaking of accomplishing other things, using our personal credit to grow and advance into real estate. I want each of you, there's a good handful of you on here, please comment down below. Do you plan on getting into some type of real estate in 2025, or at least big focus on positioning yourself for real estate in 2025? Ricardo asks, do you need anything special to get a mortgage loan to buy property in a different country? So I'm going to start by saying I don't have a ton of experience with internationally purchasing property. That having been said, from my understanding, from my mortgage lending experience and background, you're going to want some of the similar metrics, but you're going to also have to keep in mind, the country you plan to buy in and their relation to your lender. So if you plan on, I'm guessing you asking that question, are you looking to use a U.S. bank still, like a U.S.-based bank still in that process, or are you looking at international lenders? You might want to clarify that one for you. But if you're looking to leverage a bank that is here in the U.S. to try to get funding out there in another country, that one is one that's going to be a little sticky, if that's what you're saying. Okay, you say yes. So you're going to want to make sure that you jump through the hoops of documentation and making sure that you have the ability to buy wherever you're looking to buy. So that's going to go deeper than the underwriting portion. Obviously, you want the standard underwriting in the first place, like your basic underwriting metrics to have good affordability. But you're going to want to make sure the red tape of not being a citizen and buying their, foreign national status, etc. U.S. bank to buy property in Belize. Fair enough. So think basic underwriting standards as needed, which we're about to dive into in a minute, just in general, right, around primary residence and investment properties. So everybody hang on for that one. But that same premise, but also making sure that, what do I need documentation-wise in Belize? So you might need to have some kind of because all these countries have who they things in place on who they want to invest in their country and where they want the capital to come from, and then what level. Do you need to live there a certain amount of time? Do I need to have a certain level of citizenship or residency status, things of that nature? So you want to do your homework around that. Belize might not be that bad because Belize is one of those types of countries. Like Costa Rica is another one. Those kind of countries, very Western friendly, kind of closely tied into the financial system here. So that might not be too difficult. But you might want to do some research, mostly not as much around certain credit metrics and underwriting metrics in that way, but more what are the laws and regulations around buying property there? And then obviously finding an institution that extends into that country to do lending on, because that's a different beast. I personally do not know. I'm sure it exists, obviously, but I do not know firsthand anything special beyond what I just said on how to make that happen. So that is actually a great question and a great topic. I don't mind doing that digging with you if you want to take some time out on that. Because obviously, like I said, I have a mortgage license. I can probably do some research on that in ways that maybe you may not know how to or may not know to do. So, we can kind of chime in on that if you want to talk about that further. My guy PNR said, yes, he's looking to work on investment properties. He also said, thanks for the advice last week. I was right. Navy Fed said that I've reached that 31K exposure, so they denied my reconsideration on that $1,000 credit card to have to wait with them 91 days. Yeah. Yes, that was our first live stream, the first live stream we did, if I'm not mistaken, a couple weeks ago. So I'm glad you dug into that. I'm glad the information turned out to be proof and correct for you. Um, Definitely keep chipping away at that relationship with Navy Federal for sure. But I'm glad you got that insight. Just keep focusing and growing with other banks in the meantime as well. And if you need to, maybe sit back and garden a little bit. But that's good to know. So we're on the subject of property. I want y'all to continue. I only see a couple responses so far about buying property. Please comment down below. I know that there's a handful of you still on here. Who's looking to buy or have some kind of transactional involvement with a primary residence, secondary residence, or investment property in 2025? Comment down below. I want to know what your interest level is. If you're catching the replay of this, still comment on the video and let me know, what are you looking to do in real estate next year? I am personally looking to get into real estate further next year. For me, I am looking at considering commercial property for office/studio for myself. And the reason for that is because I am very familiar with the outskirt area of my metro area. And because of interest rates and where they are and how that's affected commercial property, I am starting to see affordable commercial property pop up around me. And I am considering jumping on that while interest rates are still going to be kind of high and commercial real estate is still leaning. So I am thinking about commercial property going into that, because my other alternative is right now I rent an office. It's been a while since I filmed from there, but if you watch my first, probably 100, 150 videos, give or take, you will see me in that office or in that building or somewhere around the garage of that building or somewhere filming from that building where I rent. And it's a great commercial space. It is in a great area. It is accessible. It is useful. I enjoy it, but I am not a huge fan of renting a lot of times. If it's something that I know I'm going to be doing for multiple years, I prefer to own it. I'm going to be doing a content creation consulting for the definitely deep into the foreseeable future. So having an office space is going to be a natural essential for me. And so I am at a point now where I think I'm ready to buy. I'm spending, I guess, in combination about $800 or $900 a month right now for office space and mailbox. And that is, somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000 a year for round numbers. So for me, 1 or 2 years of that might be okay. We're going into year 2 of that. I am looking to buy a commercial space, honestly, because by the time I do this for 3 to 5 more years, I could have bought a commercial space, put down and bought a commercial space. So that is one of my focus points, is a commercial space is considered for 2025. I'm not going to say it's a hard primary focus, but it's definitely on the radar. It depends on the revenue of my business and the growth of this, my channel, the growth of the revenue from these different things. It depends. But that is on the radar pretty heavy for me in 2025. Rental real estate is on the radar for me in 2025. I am a big believer in residential real estate for rental income, and I'm bullish on it based on the economic cycle that we're going into. But we still have a housing shortage. Interest rates are going to come back down. Quantitative easing by the Federal Reserve is looking like it's going to kick in a high gear. Both presidential candidates are serious about trying to make homes more affordable, or at least put more money into the game of housing, which means they're going to try to make more people to be able to afford homes. I definitely want to own more real estate that people are going to rent to own from me, rent from me, or even owner financing. That is where I'm looking at. So I have plans on that. And again, stick around for those of you on a live stream and those catching the replay. I'm about to get into underwriting again on residential real estate for primary mortgages and investment properties. But I want to jump in. I got a couple comments. Okay, it looks like we got a lady in the house. Mink Hair Collection. Currently working on a Cali real estate license. Dope. Great. Me Too. I'm guessing you might be talking about commercial space on the Me Too part. Let me know if that's what you are referring to. So homeowner looking to jump into commercial real estate. Yes, you just clarified that for me. So correct. In a similar bucket with you on that one, my dear. Commercial real estate, if you are in the right business and in the right market, is a good time right now in many cases. Commercial real estate On the small side, small commercial properties, all the way up to major office spaces, in many cases are leaning. A lot of experts saying it's one of the biggest real estate opportunities in this generation, in this time frame, in this economic cycle, and it's not done yet. Commercial real estate functions significantly different from residential real estate. All lending is much shorter term in commercial real estate and is very interest rate sensitive. You can't get a 30-year fix on a commercial real estate loan for the most part. Might be some product out there that is a niche. Generally speaking, you're looking at 3, 5, 7, 10-year terms on commercial real estate. And that puts commercial real estate in a tough spot when you have interest rate fluctuations like we've had in the last 4 years. So I am seeing a scenario where in my market, especially outskirts of my market, I'm seeing commercial properties, full-scale commercial properties. These are lots and actual commercial structures that are at good prices. So I'm thinking buying and holding on a lot until I potentially consider on building on it if I think it's a good financial move long term, if I'm going to be in this market long enough for that to make sense, or an actual existing commercial structure that needs work, or one that's turnkey if there's a good enough deal on one. But it is definitely high on my radar because commercial real estate, just for my business, not even talking about, a bunch of commercial tenants. Now, if I can get a commercial property and spit off 25%, 50% of it to other commercial tenants, the more the merrier. But even one for myself that I'm no longer renting, that I can add to my tax deductions and benefits, and it's my personal customized space to film my content, have my consultations, and if it's a decent enough size space, do in-person events. That is why I'm looking to go with that. So I'm big focused on that. And that is something that I think everybody who's in business that can envision a use for commercial space needs to think about right now. Commercial real estate is in a good place. If you're jumping on to the live stream late, welcome in, like the video, let me know you're in the building. Lonnie just joined in. If I'm saying that correct, let me know. She said I joined late. I'm more interested in my personal credit. I'm in debt, but I do have a primary residential property. Let me know personal credit questions down below. Let me know a couple personal credit questions you might have down below that you're comfortable discussing on the live stream. I do answer, as you may see. If you're new, I don't know if you caught my content before, but I definitely take the time out to answer questions and try to give insight and kind of a low-key live, consultation on these live streams. I do take that time out. So let me know, Lonnie. You say personal credit is the focus. Personal credit cards, auto loans, more in the real estate space, repairing personal credit. You say you're in debt. Anything you comfortable talking about, comment down below and let me know if it's something I can answer for you. Ricardo says commercial real estate worries me right now. It does. And that is why, depending on your need and your situation, it's a good time to get in. It's the whole Warren Buffett, when everybody's fearful, be greedy. When people are greedy, be fearful. Right now is a very nerve-wracking time in commercial real estate. I'm not buying to flip. I am not buying to try to lease out for other tenants. If that opportunity comes, great. I'm buying for my personal use in the business, my personal business use. So for commercial real estate, for me, I foresee myself in it at minimum 3 to 5 years. It could be longer. So I am not looking for any type of short-term gain from that property, Ricardo. So that's more the perspective I'm coming from. When I say real estate goes in 2025, personal credit, business funding, business credit, I'm looking to leverage my personal and business credit in conjunction with each other to get into commercial real estate, just to simplify renting from somewhere else and customizing my own. There's a lot I can't do in my office because I'm renting it. There's a lot I can't, decorate it a certain way. It's really not that big of an office. I only have enough space for one-on-one consultations. I can barely host a few people at a time. I really want to get into live events that I can even invite y'all to come do these kind of things in person on a more intimate level. Let me host 20, 30, 50 people. So a decent sized commercial space that I can customize, that I can film even, more and more content from and give different looks, and then also host more in-person activity for consultations and live events around these type of topics. So that's more what my mindset and my vision is. I'm looking at commercial real estate saying right now is a bloody time. You're dead correct and dead on with commercial real estate being nerve wracking. It is. It is extremely shaky right now. And that is why I'm looking at it saying you're going to have desperate sellers. You're going to have vacant properties that can't rent to save their life. So even if it's a scenario where I just say, okay, I'm going to continue renting, but I might come out of where I'm renting right now and find me a cheaper place to rent with more space because it's a smaller. Right now, I'm renting from a large commercial entity. They are in a different position to keep their pricing higher. Somebody renting a small commercial space with 5 or 10 offices might not be in that situation. I see commercial for lease and for sale signs up all over the place. And if you're in your local market, ride around and just open your eyes for a second. You may look at residential property all the time. You might look at apartment complexes or small multifamily buildings all the time. How long do you look at commercial real estate, or how often when you're out in the streets do you look at commercial real estate? Mink, let me know where you are on the personal credit, business credit, business funding side, like where you're at with that and your ability to get into commercial real estate, or how you plan to get in commercial real estate. Shout out, of course, you're welcome on the info with commercial real estate. Makes it SBA dumping major resources into business owners here. Absolutely. So like, I don't want to drift too much off the topic of real estate and underwriting and funding. I really want to get into that for everybody on the live stream and everybody catching the replay. Give me a second, but Mink just brought up another big one. Again, I do business banking for a living. Small business owners, SBA, as well as, honestly speaking, a lot of nonprofit organizations, SBA, and banks are coming together to fund and support business owners, and it's really low key. It's really low key. And I'm telling you, as somebody who works at a bank and does business related events like panels, live events. We go to I just did the Urban League, came to my city in late June or early July. Urban League did a really big event in my city. And so my bank was sponsoring there. And when I tell you there's so many financial resources out there for business owners that most people, it just does not get a lot of attention. It doesn't get a lot of marketing. Think grants, think cohorts of education, like business development cohorts around getting you marketing assistance, administrative assistance, grant funding, and getting your business out to other, to your clientele base. If you're B2C, B2B, ton of resources around. So when she says SBA, that is correct. There's a lot of money going into businesses, especially if you check the minority box in any way. If you're Afro-descended, Latino, a woman, all the above, you're a woman and you're Latino, African-American, etc. If you are considered a minority business owner and a solopreneur or a really small operation, there's a lot of financial resources, a lot. Lonnie, my debt is all on credit cards. I've been paying it monthly, but I can only get maybe a little more than the minimum every month. I feel stuck. Tried to get a loan to consolidate the credit cards and got denied. So that is a pretty tough situation to be in. Are you in a position, and you can answer this based on comfort, but like, do you have a good excess income? Do you have a good excess income? And also, you say you own a home, if I'm not mistaken. I know that your credit situation could be hindering it, but do you have the potential equity to try to access? Is that a path you could potentially go where you can take out equity and try to consolidate? Let me know, do you have a good excess income? And that means like excess cash flow after expenses. Or do you have equity in your property on your primary residence? I'm just bouncing ideas right now. Mink, I want to help with process of a realtor and a business strategist. I want to help the process as a realtor. Clarify that one for me, Mink. Clarify what you mean by that. I want to help with the process as a realtor and a business strategist. Let me comment. I think I know where you're going with that, but clarify that one for me. So while it's on my mind, while we need to get on the topic, because I know the questions, these topics will have us branching off. Let's talk personal credit and potentially business credit for real estate. Many of you sound like you are already on a primary residence property ladder. What does it look like getting into secondary and investment properties and commercial properties? When it comes down to the personal side, you need to have stable, and this is coming from a perspective, first off, of standard, brick and mortar bank funding. We're not talking about private money, hard money, and all of those different backdoor strategies. We can get into that a little bit because I did brokering in that space as well. So I do have familiarity there. We can kind of get into that on the back end with investment properties. But starting out right now with walking into your brick and mortar bank and getting access to capital in that arena. We're going to talk about underwriting there. We're going to talk about, what it looks like from income-wise, job history, documents, credit needed, and refinances, because I got a lot of homeowners on here right now. Refinances, because interest rates are coming down. If you're like me, I bought while interest rates were up, and I did that intentionally because that means prices were relatively compressed. Interest rates are going to come down, and there's an okay to good chance prices are going to start to rise, at least for a little while, because of the supply and demand and economics of housing in most markets, with a housing shortage and more people being able to afford the ability to buy. Because interest rates are cheaper, the government wants to put more money in the people's hands to buy homes, and banks are always incentivizing it. So there's a likelihood that we're going to see a run up in housing prices. Is it going to be 2020 type crazy? I don't know yet, but that's going to be what my proposal is on residential real estate. And so when it comes to the refinancing aspect of it, if you're in a situation where you don't have, let's just say a below 6 interest rate on your mortgage, like myself, I'm 6+, I'm like 6.68 or 6.7. I'm waiting on rates to get down to a certain point so I can refinance. And depending on how equity has done, I might cash out refinance. I haven't decided on that yet, but I'm waiting for a rate and term refinance. So we're going to talk about underwriting from that perspective. I see some comments and questions coming in, y'all. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to get to that. I just want to start touching on this topic for underwriting on residential real estate for primary residences, refinances, secondary, and investment properties. I really did a video on this one already about a month and a half ago, give or take, but I'm going to cover it a little bit more in depth on this live stream right now. So 2 years financials is the average. That means tax returns, pay stubs, same job industry, ideally for 2 years, or same industry and ideally same company, but at least same industry. I always make it clear, W-2 income is the most attractive. W-2 is the most attractive. You could have a W-2 job, sometimes just with an offer letter, and get a home loan, depending on the circumstances. That's how confident banks are in W-2 jobs and income. When it comes to 1099, you need 2 years of verification. If you're coming into the video later, comment, like the video, let me know you're in the building, let me know what questions you have in the chat. I'm getting to that in a second. 2 years of financials on a personal side when it comes to real estate. Bank statements for 3 months back, about 2 to 3 months of pay stubs, tax returns 2 years back. If you are in the 1099 or a business owner and that's income you are getting in, you need your 1040 Schedule K taxes for 2 years in most cases on standard financing for real estate. Credit, ideally 760 and up. FICO gets you the prime best rate available in the mortgage space. 760 to 850 are no different on the interest rate you're going to get. It's vanity after that point in time. Doesn't hurt to have the higher, but 760 is that threshold. 760 to 780 in certain scenarios. The next thing you want to have is the best DTI possible. I just mentioned, if anybody's coming in late, I made a point to have very limited personal debt on my credit report to get out of the way of my affordability on a mortgage. Just $300 to $400, $500 on an auto loan or any kind of installment loan can drag down your affordability on a mortgage by tens of thousands of dollars. A $20,000 car one time can cost you $25,000, $35,000, $40,000 or more on affordability on a mortgage. I'm good. I don't know about y'all, but I'm good. When I did the math on that and realized that, I drive a paid off car right now that is not sexy at all. And I don't give a damn, because While my car is not the most appealing, I own real estate, and a lot of people can't. So make sure you do your due diligence on affordability when it comes to personal debt. My goal going into my auto loan ambitions for next year, if you're catching this late, I already laid out. I'm looking to put my next couple auto loans into my business name to hide it off my personal credit report from bothering my affordability, but also to support my business with equipment or valuable assets on the business side that can be collateralized in the future, and for marketing purposes and tax benefits. I'm looking to exercise all of that by doing auto loans on the business side and to protect my personal credit profile, because as I go into buying more property, I'm looking to do so and refinance my existing property. I'm looking to do so with the most affordability possible. That means the highest income I can afford to produce and the lowest monthly expenses on my credit report. So that is what I set up a couple years ago, and I'm sticking to that. And I advise y'all to do the same. Keep your personal credit profile clean of unnecessary debt if you're looking to dive into real estate. A few $100, a handful of $100 on an auto loan can cost you tens of thousands of dollars in affordability. It's a very interesting percentage if you ever play with it on a calculator. Very interesting. So please be focused on that. The next thing you're going to want to focus on is making sure you do your mathematics on down payment and PMI. You know, having an idea of the type of property you're looking to get into and affordability around how much I got to put down, the types of properties that fit into that loan criteria. And I mean conventional FHA, USDA, VA, etc. You want to understand, am I going to pay PMI? And does it make sense to pay PMI? For me, in general cases, I am actually a pretty big advocate, interestingly enough, of not generally putting a ton of money down into my properties on a primary residence side. My biggest focus point on that is you cannot exercise equity in its illiquid form. You can't eat equity is what we are generally seeing in the mortgage industry. What that basically means is I do all of this to avoid an $80, $90, $100, $120 a month in principal private mortgage insurance. And I threw in 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, $90,000 into a property I can't touch pretty much for any reason. I'm a believer that I can get a better return on my money than avoiding PMI. So I'm the kind of person that will put enough down as necessary. And as Mink kind of talked about, exercising my local, federal, state, and bank resources for down payment assistance. I want great credit, great DTI, great job history, great income history. But I want to let the bank, the government, let them pour the money in the pot to make sure that I have good equity in the property and I got money to close, cash to close and money down, and to buy down my interest rate. That's how I bought my primary residence. There was more money from the bank and outside funding and seller credits than I had to put in the deal. And that's how I like to do my real estate when it comes down to brick and mortar bank funding for real estate. Same kind of financials for refinances. 2 years, ideally. And when it comes to negative items too, I want to touch on this for a second because I know some of us still have negative items on the credit report. You may be thinking in the back of your mind, is that exclude me out of the real estate game? Just to touch on that for a second. Mortgage credit profiles for mortgage interest underwriting wise are assessed about 3 to 4 years back on your credit profile, meaning that anything older than that typically is not really counted into on negative items. 4 years or older, they really don't look that heavy into it, especially if it's settled or resolved. It's affecting your score as it is, so that's already counting against you. But it's not like one of those things where a charge-off automatically disqualifies you, or a collection automatically disqualifies you, or a late payment. If it's older than 3 or 4 years, that's really important for you to know that it may not weigh as heavy or completely disqualify you out. I recommend, if you cannot successfully get it off, which I am not a huge fan of credit repair as far as paying companies, that's a whole nother conversation, then you need to work on hitting it head on and settling it or paying it off in some form or fashion, and that way it's settled. That's the next thing when you're doing a mortgage that they look at. Is it at least resolved? If you have an active collection, you had a late payment, has it been resolved? That looks good. Can help your credit score, and underwriting will look at that as a resolved issue. So let me know what other questions you have around qualifying for a primary residence or a refinance on basic bank level. I can get deeper if y'all want me to cover that when it comes to, conventional FHA, VA, USDA, and basic underwriting qualifications, or even 102s, the deeper level qualifications. That was just kind of the surface level. Let me jump into a couple more of these comments that's been coming in. Ricardo, how should try to pre-qualify for SoFi, Discover, or Amex for a personal loan? No hit credit to check. Ricardo, clarify that for me. You kind of lost me a little bit on the verbiage on that one. Because I don't know if you're asking me how to pre-qualify on those, or you're just saying that you can. Let me know on Ricardo on your comment around pre-qualifying for SoFi, Discover, Amex personal loan, no hit to credit check. Lonnie says, not at the moment on the equity. Haven't been in the home a year yet. Congratulations on the new home. And income is just about tapped after the mortgage and credit card bills. Got you. So I do offer separate consultations. I'm not trying to pitch you, but the questions that I have get deeper in that I don't necessarily want to get into on a live stream. Unless you're willing to kind of get into more depth, you can let me know. But in order to try to help you solve for that, I'd have to kind of get deeper on that, because I'd have to know more about the income situation and a little bit about your lifestyle situation to kind of dive deeper on that. But I wouldn't mind helping if you're interested in more, consulting. If you think you see value in that, I would definitely don't mind helping on that. I understand that position that you're in. I see that quite often. And there's a few ways you can go about it, but it takes a deeper dive to kind of clarify. If you have more questions that you think I can answer on the live stream, ask them. But other than that, we probably have to connect one-on-one. Mink says 2/3 of businesses here are well funded without them owning the building that I help them make money off of. I am an innovator. So you must be responding to realtor and business strategists. So you might can elaborate more on that. This sounds compelling. 2/3 of business are well funded without them owning the building that I help them with. Make money off of. I'm an innovator. Sound like you got an interesting strategy going on. PNR, my guy says, I don't have any mortgages or auto loans on my profile. Congrats on sounding like you got the debt down for the most part, PNR. The mortgage part is something that I'm all for. I'm gonna elaborate on that a little bit more before we jump off the live stream. I'm gonna try to cover as much of that as I can. But stacking up mortgages, especially in a scenario where it's like most of that property, like a primary mortgage residence is one thing. When you get into secondary and additional investment properties from the bank funding side, which I'm gonna jump into the private money, hard money side of things. But I'm all about stacking up mortgages on my credit profile, which you generally can get up. Fannie and Freddie allows you to have up to 10 mortgages on your credit profile before you tapped out there. So definitely all about that. I don't know if you have plans, PNR, on actually getting a mortgage. Let me know. Y'all give me 1 second. Let me look at one more thing. Y'all give me 1 second. So we're gonna dive into that one a little bit more. Ricardo looks like he was answering a question for somebody on that other one. So I got you, Ricardo. The Amex you need to already have a car for 3 months to qualify. Okay, so it looks like Ricardo may be helping somebody else out. Let's see. Mink got another one in here. Mink says, my opinion on HELOCs is it can change your monthly payment and your interest rate versus getting a personal line of credit or just a home remodel loan. Your opinion on that? My opinion on a HELOC is it can change your monthly payment and your interest rate versus getting a personal line of credit or just a home remodel loan. Are you asking what's a better option, Mink, when you lay out the HELOC versus a personal line of credit or a home remodel loan? Are you trying to see which one is a better option? Lonnie say, okay, got it. Yeah, Lonnie, just let me know. Please, feel free to answer any questions. If you want to, I'm probably going to throw my email down here in the chat for y'all. I do that in my live streams. Lonnie, you can email me. You can email me, Lonnie, if you want to connect separately and maybe get a little bit more of a look into your situation to see if there's something that you can do to advance, Lonnie. I'm going to put my email down here. Let me just double check I got everything spelled right. You can send me an email if you're interested. I do one free consultation for my subscribers and viewers. I don't mind kind of giving you another look if you're interested. And then from that point, I have affordable services if you want to work beyond that. But I do give a free look for sure, like at least an assessment on what you got going on. So, my guy Ricardo, your opinion. I have the cash to pay off my home. That is solid. Let's just start there. That's solid. But should I keep it invested instead of paying off my home? I have a 2.3% interest rate on my home. Man, Ricardo, you killing it. You got the cash to pay it off and you got a less than 3% interest rate on your mortgage. So this is a great relevant question to the real estate topic. So when it comes to, is cash better used to like invest or pay off your mortgage? My first question to you before I dive too far in, Ricardo, is what is it invested in? You're in a stock market, you're gonna buy more property. What are you doing with that money? And then I'll give you my opinion. PNR, yes, I have plans to get an investment property mortgage in 2025. Perfect. So investment properties on a bank funding side, little bit different. So all of the underwriting I gave on the residential side, keep that. But let's switch this up a little bit. Your down payment scenario changes on the investment property side. Many of you may already know that. You're going to have deeper requirements because banks tend to see people get off of their their investment properties first when crisis strikes. So if you can't afford things, the first thing you're going to do is stop paying on your investment properties. The last thing you're going to do is usually stop paying on your primary residence. So banks, mortgage lenders are more confident if you can figure out a way to pay off your loan or to bounce back from a disaster, you're going to try to figure it out on your primary residence. You may be willing to gamble your investment property. So 15, 20, 25, and 30%, 15 to 30% down on investment properties is common on most banks. Bank level funding is typically still supreme for rates and terms when it comes to investment properties. DSCR loans, debt coverage service ratio loans, comment down below if you're familiar with those or have heard about them, or if you have questions about it, are starting to challenge that in the private market alternative lending space. There are really good products out there under DSCR where you can get competitive rate fixed products on investment properties, unlimited, by the way, because it's outside of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac with bank lending, meaning that you, as I just stated, you can have 10 investment properties at the time of this recording in your name on your personal credit report that you finance. And then from that point on, you have to graduate out to some kind of alternative lending. And so DSCR is a massive product marketplace gap filler in the lending space that has come out in the last 5 years or so. Late 2010s, DSCRs broke out into the scene. So other than that, bank level financing is pretty supreme with rates and terms, meaning that if you can qualify for it, you'll get the best rate and term. The fault line with investment properties on bank funding is They want turnkey properties in the sense of it can't need any work or much at all. And you have to usually have tenants in place if it's an investment property. They already want it rent rolling. They're very conservative around investment property. Most banks. There's always community banks and credit unions and small banks that have very creative products. So do your homework in your backyard. We're talking about the more common banks that are accessible to mostly all of us are super regional banks. Your large banks and super regional banks. They are going to be very stringent on making sure that you have a turnkey property that is, already in good shape and it has a tenant already. Those of you who are into the house hacking concept, 2 to 4 units, living in one side, renting out the rest. There's a lot of playroom in that. I'm lucky enough to be in a market where there's a ton of multifamily property in my metro area. Ton of multifamily. Very common to see 2 to 4 plexes all the way in the heart of my city, all the way out to the outskirts. Some of you are in totally different areas. So that is another arena of getting into the game of real estate, is house hacking through multifamily properties, and renting out rooms is becoming a little attractive as well. ADUs, additional dwelling units is getting a lot of traction as well. Comment down below if any of those strategies are something that's in your hat, or like a feather in your cap, or something you're interested in going into 2025 and beyond. 2 to 4 units, house hacking, renting out rooms in your house, or ADUs, additional dwelling units, where you actually add additional living space to your home. That is all becoming attractive. Bank level financing is going to be great for your regular old rental. Single family, 2 to 4 units, stable, tenant in place, properties in good shape. That's bank level funding. Same 2-year financials, same job history stability that I gave. Bank statement provided, cash reserves already displayed for those 2 months. If you have rent roll, they'll let you count a percentage of that towards the affordability, and that's a great thing. That is the benefit of having having an existing tenant already in place. We're going to talk about going to hard money, private money, alternative lending to get into the property, and possibly going back to the bank to refinance out in a second. Ricardo says in response to whether he should pay off his mortgage that is only at a 2.3% rate or keep the money invested. He says he invests in the S&P 500 ETFs, exchange traded funds, gold, silver, and I have a mutual fund account. 9 out of 10 times, every single one of those assets are going to perform better than paying off a 2.3% mortgage. If you can afford the payment, everything's comfortable with the mortgage, was obviously listening to your financial position. That's probably the case. I'm going to say, based on the information I have here, that you are better off invested. What I would propose to you, if you want to get really creative, is if you want to consolidate those funds, because it sounds like it's enough, consolidate it into a strict stock portfolio. And that could be, as you already know, ETFs, exchange traded funds, whatever. But like generally just a broker style stock portfolio. There are institutions that will do securities-based lines of credit, and you can turn around and invest in a portfolio, get the returns, and then double back and get a securities line of credit and either go jump into another investment, or if it's enough money and they, because they're going to give you a percentage off of that portfolio. It might be 50, 60, 70%. So it depends. But then turn around and take that cash and maybe then go pay off your property, just to kind of do 2 at once, because you can only do one the other way around. The debt on that line of credit is going to probably be a higher rate than your mortgage. But the difference is your money is still invested, earning what it's earning, and you've paid off the mortgage. So the cash flow from the mortgage can, pay for the line of credit, which probably is going to have pretty flexible payment terms. And you might have the excess cash flow, because the payment terms are flexible, to do something else investment-wise. That's just getting creative, Ricardo. Charles Schwab is an example. JP Morgan Chase is one that people don't know about, but they have securities-based lines of credit. Most of these banks that have private wealth or wealth management or private client have securities. Bank of America, I think, has it. I want to say First Tech Federal Credit Union has it. Securities-based line of credit. So if it's sitting in cash right now and you haven't deployed it, If you like the strategy I just laid out, that might be one for you to think about. When it comes to a securities-based line of credit against your portfolio. Again, it might be only 50 or 60% they're going to allow you to do. But it's going to be a line of credit, pretty attractive terms because it's secured. Most of the time, there's not credit requirements for that because it's collateralized. And it's going to be a flexible payment where you might not have an interest-only payment or something like that, and it could free up cash flow. So you see where I'm going with this. You get the return in the market, pay off the property anyway. So now you got a mortgage paid off. That looks good. And then you got the cash flow from the mortgage that you normally was paying. And you might only have an interest-only payment on that line of credit for a period of time. Do your homework on that, but it's something to think about. That's kind of getting creative, but I like to do that kind of thing. PNR said, that's what I wanted to do grab a multifamily. Mink said, now you're talking my language with multi-units. Everybody pretty much agrees multifamilies is where it's at. I agree. I am in a market with 2 to 4 units are all over the place, as well as 5 to 10 units. That is where I'm looking to go. I've considered the concept of I'm going to be beyond a year on my existing mortgage or a year plus. You know, I've thought about the concept of trying to, and because I'm kind of living far enough on the outskirts, I've been trying to flirt with the idea of getting a secondary mortgage or another mortgage, like a primary mortgage on a multifamily in my city, because I might be far enough out on the outskirts to make an argument for like another primary property loan, which is what you need to do to play the game with the FHA and conventional. So what I'm saying is, like, you can oftentimes, if you got enough distance or justification, you can sometimes play with the idea of having your mortgage over here in a residence, which is my like actual living home, and still get a mortgage somewhere in the city because you might work there or have some other really good argument of having that additional mortgage there. That's kind of like a primary residence or a second primary residence that still gives you low down payment options. Is why I'm thinking about this, because it's like 10% is an average in that case. Or you can sometimes still do FHA at, of course, 3.5% down. So I got lower down payment requirements, great rates still, and I'm buying a multifamily property that I can get in my personal name still if I decide to go that route, because it's a whole nother conversation about getting in your business name. We'll try to squeeze that into this live stream, even though we're going 2 hours strong. That will allow me to get an investment property essentially and a secondary property by buying a multifamily, maintaining my single family as my primary living, going to my multifamily in the city, renting it out, hopefully drawing a profit, of course, and getting the mortgage paid down by the tenants. So that is something I've considered because of my situation and my geographical layout and my knowledge on the mortgage industry. Buying an outright rental, 2 to 4 unit, definitely on the horizon. Considering short-term rentals, because in my market, if y'all don't know, I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana again. I got Mardi Gras and the Super Bowl coming in 2025 alone. The Super Bowl and Mardi Gras is going to be within a month alone in the first quarter of 2025. That's not including all of the festivals. You know, everybody knows New Orleans, and we don't know how to do nothing else. We know how to party. So there's constantly, except the summertime. Summertime's rough here. But first quarter, half of the second quarter, and, you know, all the way up to maybe May, and then back operational around October, September, October. There's about 7 to 8 prime months for short-term rentals in my market. My main Orleans parish, we have parishes here, not counties, has basically crushed short-term rentals with local policies where you have to be like an existing homeowner and all these other red tapes. You have to have a license to own a short-term rental in the major city where all the events are going down in New Orleans. So this has put the ball back in the court of hotels, but it's also opened up local parishes that have more flexible, conservative laws around that on short-term rentals in markets right around the corner. So basically, the surrounding parishes that are only 10, 15, and 20 minutes out from New Orleans, you can buy the investment property, short-term rental property there, less red tape, and still give people the geographical proximity to New Orleans for all of the festivities going on. So that is something I am considering in 2025. That would be a scenario where I might look to try to do that in a business name. That's where I'm going to get into DSCRs, which is really just debt service coverage ratio, meaning that they want to check your credit. If you got great credit, the better the rate, but it doesn't disqualify you, or at least, if it's not too horrible, they're flexible. And they want to, they don't deal with your personal income. They don't deal with your business revenues. They're looking at the revenue of the property. Let's just say it's a 1.25% ratio on a DSCR, meaning that they wanted to cover the rent, which is the 1. The 2.5 means they want 25% more than the rent coming in. So for even numbers, if the mortgage note is $1,000, they want you to bring in $1,250 a month to qualify for that DSCR. So it's really all about buying a good property that the rent is going to be higher than the mortgage. DSCR shines on short-term rentals because revenues on short-term rentals are so high. You might have a 1.25% ratio, but you might be getting 2 or 3 or 4 times the mortgage note in short-term rental income. So, and you can use business or individual titling on DSCR loans. So that's the kind of thing that I'm plotting going into 2025, and personal credit and business funding plugs into that because my personal credit qualifies me. What up, Paul? I see you coming in, my guy. Good to see you, man. My personal credit is going to still qualify me for a great rate, even though I'm in alternative lending. They still care about that, and they're going to price me based on that. And then I can also exercise business funding and having an existing business structure to put the property in, or create a new business structure to put the property in, get an asset in the business out of my personal name, limiting personal liability, great tax benefits still. This is how you play the game when we start talking about getting into investment properties. So Ricardo, real quick, jumping in. It's funny just thinking, but like you, I drive an old car, 92 Honda. I got like a 2016 Nissan Versa, so welcome to the club. But I'm more worried about my bank account and my investments. Yes, sir, Ricardo. I drive an intentionally paid off car, and it is not sexy, and I hop out of it with pride. Because if you laughing at me getting out of this car, you're not gonna be laughing when you look at my portfolio, my balance sheet. That's for sure, and my assets. Mink said genius move, then room rent it out, making them full studios. Bankroll. Which topic you talking about on that? Because I know we talked about the commercial properties, Mink. I know we also just kind of talked about the short-term rental ones. Let me know which one you're responding to on that one. But of course, I agree with what you're laying out, 110%. So, as we wrap this live stream up, if you're looking to do a primary residence, underwriting, as I went over, 2 years of good financials, 760 or higher FICO scores, middle FICO score, stable career, stable income, 2 years ideally. W-2 income is preferred. If you're not, 1099, if you're working Schedule K on your if you're working out, thanks, Paul. Thank you, my guy. You know that all the time. I'm always gonna bring y'all the best. I'm not on here just to be cute. Y'all notice I don't do clickbait titles. Y'all know I don't do, all this misleading information. If nothing else, I may not get all the views in the world because of I don't do all of the clickbaiting and crazy topics, but I'm gonna give you the real on this. I'm really looking to help y'all grow y'all relationships, grow y'all financial relationships, and grow y'all money. It's genuine for me. So thank you, Paul. So, primary residence, secondary residence, refinances, 2 years, good FICO scores, DTI is huge. Keep your expenses to a minimum. Make sure your income is verifiable and as high as possible. I got you, Paul. Link up on the back end. I put my email in there, but I'm gonna put that back in there for you. And I'm gonna do a better job, y'all, because before we get off, y'all, I'm actually gonna upload because I do have a booking page for you guys to book on one-on-one consultations, which I give all of my viewers at least one free one for sure. From there, I have affordable consulting around the topics I specialize in. So before we get off, y'all, I'm gonna make sure y'all have access to me in that week. But on the primary residence side, the secondary property, and refinances, and including HELOCs. Nate brought up HELOCs, all of that. You're going to want to have that type of underwriting in place. This is for primary banks. If you want to get to the real juicy stuff, when we start talking about creative financing for structuring on investment properties, short-term or long-term, even commercial properties, this is where you can start to get into hard money, private money, DSCR loans, brokers, which I handle that as well. I'm in that arena as well. This is where you get creative, where you might be able to get entire properties in your business name. You can leverage your personal guarantees and your personal credit into these investment properties. You can play that game. It's so creative, so creative. So that world exists. That is something I'm looking to find a way to incorporate on my channel more. You guys don't notice I get penalized on my channel by YouTube and the algorithm anytime I deviate from credit card topics and things of that nature. It doesn't allow me to deviate very much in the mortgage and real estate topics like I want to. Some of these other topics, it lets me do, I do well, or at least do relatively well on certain topics, but the algorithm beats me up when I deviate on certain topics. So I'm finding ways, mostly in these live streams, to get to y'all and try to bring that content in a way where I can, the whole point of these credit conversations, personal and business credit conversations, as I said at the top of the live stream, is to get into leverage. It's to leverage into assets. We are not doing this for vanity metrics. We want to acquire property. We want to credit card stack and get excess cash just from stacking credit cards, bank bonus relationship hunting. These things are essential to the use case for personal and business credit and business funding. We're not doing it for the vanity of just bragging about having 6 figures in credit limits. We're not doing it for just the concept of bragging about business funding. We want to own. The winners in this country are owners, business owners, property owners, stock owners. They are the winners. They are the ones that get it done. That is the whole reason we do leverage. That is the whole reason we do leverage. So I want to make sure we're not doing this for a vanity metric. The creativity available when it comes to real estate is insane on a personal business funding side, personal credit and business funding side. If you just wanted to do the personal side, I could walk you through getting all 10 of your slots maxed out on qualifying for property. If you want to go over to the side where it's like, I don't even want that on my personal credit, I want to put all of that in LLCs and own it in LLCs. I can show you financial, like mortgage and financing structures, plays you can run on that to do that from the ground up while leveraging your personal credit, leveraging your ability to get access to business funding, and doing it in a way that still allows you to profit on your rental properties, on your short-term rentals, long-term rentals, multifamily, single-family, commercial properties, that allows you, because you got to understand something. Many people miss out on this, and I harp on this a lot when I talk on this topic. You have to care about the cost of capital when you're playing a game of real estate. What that means is a lot of people are just so focused on anything that allows them to get into the property that they don't deal with how much it costs them to get in. Your ability to profit from real estate is as connected to the price of that capital as anything else, as the tenant itself, as the market rents you can get. All of that is not, or at least equally or potentially not even as impactful as the fact that you're paying too much on the note. It doesn't matter if you can get X amount of thousands a month in rent, and long-term or short-term, if you're getting it chewed up and paying 3, 4, or 5% more on a mortgage rate just because you're not finding the right financing strategies. It means everything. I literally had multiple real estate investors that I dealt with in the business arena that will come into the financial institution I work at talking about funding. And all of them play the same aggravating game of writing everything off on their taxes so they don't show income, thinking that they're smart, which that's a whole nother conversation. Why are you trying to dodge taxes and you make 5 or 6 figures a year? Like, I don't even get that. Like, the leverage you're taking from yourself, writing off all of your income on your taxes, is magnitudes higher than the 3 to 4 or maybe even 5-figure tax bill you might get. I'm not saying anybody likes to pay Uncle Sam. I get it. But me cutting out 6 to 7 figures in funding because I'm not showing the income on my tax return is insanity versus me writing a 4-figure check. That's just my perspective. But a lot of them do that strategy. And so they force themselves to have to deal with hard money lenders and private lenders only, exclusively. And in most cases, there are product exceptions, but in most cases, this is a scenario where you're going to pay more to take that property down. And then if you want to go to a bank or a better alternative lending option, you need income, you need personal financials in many cases. You have to understand how to structure your financing and get the best rate in term long term. Because if I'm paying 2 to 3% more on my mortgage, on my investment properties, and I'm holding those investment properties for 15, 20, 25, 30 years, have you ever looked at an amortization schedule? 2 to 3% on a mortgage, on an amortization, the interest alone, the interest only on that is a ton of money on a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $600,000 property. It is a lot of money. So you're killing profits long term when you pay too much for the cost of capital. That is why I'm so dedicated to making sure that you can afford, you have a great structured plan on affordable and high quality capital when you get into real estate. That goes for primary mortgages all the way out to investment properties. The cost of capital is essential. And I'm going to pretty much stop on that point right there when I start talking about this. Because of our time limits, I'm going to leave room for additional questions, but it is vital. If you're looking to get in investment properties, whether that's through strictly traditional bank funding and personal credit, I can talk to you about that. If you're looking to get into it from investment creative strategies where you're putting it all in LLCs, we can talk about that. If you want to blend the strategies, we can talk about that. Comment down below any final questions before we get out of here. We ran up another 2 hours on this live stream. It goes like that, but I do need to get on with my night. So I want y'all to comment any additional questions down below. If anything that y'all want to touch on or talk about, while y'all do that, I'm going to give y'all abilities to reach me. I'm going to put my email back in the chat. Thank you, Ricardo. You know I got y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. I know it ain't always easy to stick through on 2-hour live streams back, on a Friday night. But as y'all can see, I'm gonna bring y'all pressure every time. I'm gonna bring y'all quality content. I want y'all to win. Like literally, I want y'all to win. Put the email in there for anybody who wants to reach out to me in that way. I respond within 24 to 48 hours on emails, for consultations. And I'm gonna give y'all a link to my booking page if you want to book an actual appointment with me for consistent consultations, y'all. Just give me a second to get to that profile. And I'm gonna drop a link in there for that. So y'all hang tight for 1 second. All right, I found it. All right. So if you're looking to rock out with me on personal consultation, why is this still in my way? Y'all hold on a second. Hang on 1 second. Cool. All right. Here is a link where you guys can check out what I'm charging for consultations right now at this time. That's definitely going to change because honestly, it's pretty affordable. But if you're still in the live stream, curious about connecting, I have a plethora of topics that I cover on a relatively expert level. And I have pricing on ongoing consultation on them. And I do a free one for all of y'all that are tuning in and taking the time to chime in and support this channel. So I will consult with you on a broad scope to find out where your focus points are financially. and then we will hone in on areas to work in on, and we'll work on pricing based on that. So you can see a little bit on pricing right now. I'm extremely affordable based on what y'all know from the content I put out, the topics I cover, the depth that I cover it. Y'all know most people, when they do coaching and consulting, these tickets don't look like the pricing that I have. So if you want to really level yourself up financially beyond the broader content I put on this channel, that link I just dropped in the description, you can email me directly, but honestly, you can go straight to the link and book if you want to work on a continuous basis and want to continue to support directly by booking for consultations. Obviously, I'm feeding into you. So if you want to feed back into me and just keep this cycle going back and forth, we feed into each other to grow, then booking a paid consultation with me would obviously be a support to this channel and can continue to grow so I can reinvest back into y'all. So my guy PNR, thanks my guy. I need this type of information to put a good strategy in place. See you next week. You know that already. Y'all catch the videos, of course, that'll be dropping throughout the week going forward. Y'all know how I do uploads or come out long forms on Sundays, Wednesdays, usually in the evening, 7 p.m. And we will hop into a live stream next Friday. Anybody before they check out want to drop a topic for next Friday's live stream, I'm open. I come up with my own. But before y'all go, do you want anything covered around personal credit, business credit, more financing for real estate, any strategy, banking, relationship banking, and leveraging relationships with bank? Comment down below if you want topics on a live stream that you're interested in. I see y'all dropping likes and the hearts. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all know to support the channel so the channel can keep supporting you. No clickbaits, no funny business, raw quality content intended to literally increase your bottom line. I literally want every single one of you to increase your net worth, increase your access to capital so you can increase your quality of life. So comment down below with any additional thoughts on live stream topics, any other video topics, and I want you to check out the links. If you want to email me for a free consultation, I'm up for that. I'll respond in a couple business days, no less or no more than a couple business days, might be sooner. And if you check out my booking site, that's just an easy way to reach me. I have literally a list of different services I specialize in that I can help for consultations that are very affordable, literally very affordable. You see the kind of value you get in a free live stream in 2 hours and from the long-term videos. For the price that I have on my consultations, y'all can drop down below and jump into that, support in that way, and let me continue to invest in y'all more personally, one-to-one. Been driving from San Diego home and talk texting. This is a great stumble, a creative about many things, mostly been an innovative. Yo, Mink, it's a pleasure to have you in, my dear. It's a pleasure. I love to see my ladies in the building. There's not enough of y'all coming in, but I love my fellas, of course. But it's a pleasure to have you in, Mink. So I hope to see you on the next live stream. Friday, 7:30 Central Time has been the going time for me. I'll let y'all know if that changed. But Mink, if you're still on, all of y'all, if y'all still on, Friday, 7:30 p.m. Central Time zone for me. So whatever that adjustment is for y'all. If you got comments on topics you want covered, personal credit, business credit, banking, relationship banking, business cash flow, personal cash flow, mortgages, retirement investment, life insurance, I have all of those. I'm open. My guy Paul, hearing from a great banker is key. Yes, sir. Of course. A genuine one at that, coming from the heart. My guy PNR says he's working on Amex Next. In what capacity, PNR, before we get out of here? Are you working on more calls with them or any other products or banking relationship with them? Because I'm banking with them too. Help my older family members turn their homes into bankrolls while they live where they all have live together. ADUs and studios for sure. Additional dwelling units are a sleeper, man. They're a sleeper. Studios are the same to me. Hired a management company managing their properties. Smart. I like it, man. That's smart. ADUs are an opportunity to turn single-family homes into cash cows. I moved from Ohio last year and took notice of what's here in Cali. Cali is huge on ADUs, by the way. Huge on manufactured home and ADUs in Cali. Now I just pulled everything together once I passed my real estate exam on the 19th. Hooting for you, Mink. My heart is for the people. Me too, Mink. Me too. I'm hooting for you on that real estate exam on the 19th. Let us know how you did. I hope to catch you on these live streams, catch you on the long forms. Let us know how you did. Love to kind of connect. If you have, and try to find a way to us to connect and try to support the broader community when it comes to real estate and financing. We can come together on that. If you're the real estate agent, I can talk financing. Maybe we can make something shape. Mank says Amex is good. Ricardo, Amex, let's go all the time. All the time. All the time. Amex is absolutely a stunner, a winner. Let me see, y'all. Let's go, man. Yeah, Ricardo, let's give us some love and support. Let's give us some love and support. The 19th, the 19th, we're doing a real estate exam. We're gonna have a brand new realtor in the building. I can't wait to see how you make out, Mink. Let us know how you do, because I love the way you think in the ADUs, the creative structures, and taking homes, turning them into cash cows is where it's at. All across the board on Amex. Yes, sir, PNR. I got the checking account with them, personal and business credit cards with them, high yield savings account with them. The only reason I don't have a business checking account with them is because, at least in my market, they don't let you have the personal and business checking account at the same time. Last I checked, I was trying to do that the top side of the year. So I'm all over Amex for sure. As soon as you pass those child support issues, PNR, for sure, my guy, for sure. Keep pushing on that, bro. Keep pushing forward on that. I don't know all of the backdrops on that, but I give you all my support. I'm just going to assume you're a good man and a good father, and you just caught up in a rough situation. Stay focused on that, my guy. Don't let that get in your way with those finances, man. And as always, if I can help in any way with financial strategies, just let me know. I would be glad to assist, man, any further. But definitely keep pushing. Amex is golden, man. It's hard to lose with Amex. Hard to lose with Amex. I'm looking to get into the business side further on the banking and line of credit with them next year. That's one of my 2025 goals. Any other institutions, any other questions, topics? Anybody got topics for live stream next week before I come up with my own? Let me know anything before I get out of here, y'all, because my phone blowing up is getting late. Y'all let me know. It's getting late, so y'all let me know where y'all at with it before we get out of here. 2.5 strong on another live stream. Bunch of free information, y'all. Bunch of free information. Check out any opportunity to connect with me on consultations. That is a form of supporting this channel. By supporting me in that capacity, by me reinvesting back into you, I can only provide more value for you if I know your personal situation. So check out the link. It is in the chat for my email and for my booking for consultations. Any questions around any video topics, live stream topics, let me know. Let me know. Any final thoughts? We about to end in a couple seconds, in a minute or so. We about to end. Y'all let me know if y'all got anything else. Make sure y'all like. Make sure y'all actually comment on the video once it replays. If y'all don't mind coming back and actually commenting on the video, that helps. After it replays, just come back and drop a comment. It don't have to be much. It can be emojis, can be anything simple. Just support the video on the replay, y'all, because this will be uploading live right after. So we want this to continue to get out so people who are willing to take the time out to educate themselves can get more value, and they're going to do that if the algorithm can pick it up. So y'all I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm seeing the comments and the emojis down in there popping up, keeping it 100. Y'all know we're trying to make this one of the most prominent finance YouTube channels on. I'm staying dedicated with YouTube. I want y'all to know I'm here for y'all, because this is a great way to reach people like y'all and connect with y'all and provide my expertise and combine with and connect with y'all on great opportunities. I'm looking to graduate out into more ways to support this channel so I can come closer to y'all. I'm working on live events that I want to do in y'all backyard. That's all coming in the next year or two. So y'all comment and let me know, y'all thoughts on that. And I want y'all to continue to support so we can get to that point. Any last thoughts? We about to end this, y'all. Any last thoughts, questions, comments, feedbacks? Looks like we're getting a little quiet in there. I don't see anything else popping up. I see my emojis. I'm not seeing any questions in the comments. PNR. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Stay focused, my guy. Stay focused, man. Stay focused. Love to see you in here every week. I love this dedication. To see y'all stick out 1, 2, and 2 hours plus like this is really respectable and admirable, man. I salute y'all. I salute y'all. It's not many people with this kind of attention span, man. Y'all special. Y'all special. All right, man. I appreciate every single one of y'all. Y'all are dope. I appreciate y'all. Looking forward to seeing y'all in the long form videos coming out, the shorts, and the live stream next Friday, 7:30 Central Time. Live stream next Friday should be rolling out, y'all. Look out for it. Appreciate y'all. Stay focused. Stay in motion. I'll see y'all soon.